Thank you for tuning in to all our friends on Facebook. And I know that a lot of poets couldn't be here due to the holidays, and we hope that you enjoy the reading today, that you come back next time. We have a smaller group, about 20 of us from all around the world, and we're going to start with Lynette.
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
It's Lynette Esposito from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. This is an older poem, but I liked it for the holiday season. Fire fine-tunes seeds, burst open in the white heat, sowing earth with hope.
Very nice. Can you read that one? Can you read that one again for us?
Oh, sure, of course. Fire fine-tunes seeds, burst open in the white heat, sowing earth with hope.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
And I have one about water. You never get what you want, you know. Water mirrors bird wings, like shadows floating on invisible breezes, surging up and down to greet the shore. I'm on the shore, glued to the sand, a shadow, a being fluttering like a wing, greeting the sky, eyes swimming in white lagoons. I am bound to the land, wishing to fly.
There you go. That's nice. I like the idea of the seeds in the fire. You know, the giant sequoias, they only drop their seeds after a forest fire. So, you know, the forest fire goes flying through, and there are these giant trees that are 500 years old or however old they are, and everybody's all upset. But it's only through that act that the new ones get to grow. Mary Gunn.
Hello. Hello. Thanks, Glenn, and hello to all the other readers. This is Mary Gunn. I'm living on the east coast of Ireland, and I'd like to read two short poems. One is a three-line poem from Three-Line Poetry, and the other one is a haiku. So because of 3 lines, I'll read them twice. The first one is the one from Three-Line Poetry. Bees and butterflies feed on its nectar. Birds feast on its plump red berries. The humble holly, not just for Christmas. Bees and butterflies feed on its nectar. Birds feast on its plump red berries. The humble holly, not just for Christmas. And my second one is a haiku. It's a different sort of aspect of Christmas. Sitting on a bench, counting the last of his coins, Christmas Eve. Sitting on a bench, counting the last of his coins, Christmas Eve. That one was published in a UK journal called Blythe Spirit.
You say Blood Spirit?
Blythe, B-L-I-T-H-E.
Oh, nice.
The journal that was called, it's the Journal of the British Haiku Society. I think it's called after, was there a poet called Ernest Blythe? I'm not sure he was a haiku poet. I'm not sure if I have the first name right, but that's where the name comes from.
Neat. Well, thanks for sharing that. And I'm sure that we'll go check that out. I know I will. I'll go look it up because I always love checking out new journals. There's so many, right? And whenever I see a new one, I want to see what's up with it. Gloria, we'll get you in here. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gloria from upstate New York, which is kind of relative. So I'm in the Hudson Valley, kind of between New York City and really upstate New York. My first poem is Blueberry Monday, just to make you think about spring. Early morning at the farm, I choose each one with slow deliberation to savor the peacefulness and notice that they are not quite round as I indulge in one. It tastes like Maine. The sound of a child's laughter at her mother's calls. Come, my love, it's a beautiful day to pick berries. Somehow these words bring tears that spill into my bucket and I pause to wipe them away. And yet my heart is full listening as birds exult in song. There is content amongst the vines. Yes, it is the perfect day to pick berries. This one is kind of a joke, kind of wishful thinking. Young man, I have always wanted to know what it felt like to be called that. It resonates in my head like a title, as if the bearer is someone of importance, a force to be reckoned with. Just two syllables, but so mysterious. Perhaps a man of means or a wandering gypsy, both dangerous and desirable. The possibilities are endless, but the coveted words will never relate to me. I have to settle for bland miss or ma'am for eternity and beyond, unless I am reincarnated. However, as my luck will have it, I'll be answering to old man. Thank you.
Thank you. I love that line in the first poem when you say it tastes like Maine. That's just so nice, isn't it? Because yeah, Bob and everybody's shaking their heads. It is absolutely a wonderful tool to bring the reader in, because everybody has an idea, what they might think. That's just wonderful. I mean, that was strong. I appreciate that. All right, let's sneak over to James Nicola on the phone.
Okay, hi everybody. So my name is James Nicola, and my latest book is called Fires of Heaven, Poems of Faith and Sense. And I haven't been able to be here because I MC our local library branch's writers circle, which was going to be today. But the library got closed for construction. It was an emergency, so I realized, oh my gosh, I think I can do this. So last time I was on board, um, Glenn mentioned two things. One inspired a poem that I'm going to share, and one I had just gotten published that relates to something he mentioned about it being difficult to hear the news for poets sometimes. And so that he said it, and the duck came down, and we won $30 because that very week it had just been published. This particular poem had just been published in a journal online called Road Not Taken. And this one, so that's the first one, it's called News. Though white and black, so much of it is blue, which is the state I've just fallen into because today a Belgian girl of nine was assaulted by a band of men, as Nabokov had never dreamt. But I can only fold up and put down the times and cry out where a feeling man should cry. What about you when you hear of such crimes? At least I am politely uninspired and in a while depose a quivering pen, reach over, turn the light off, and feel tired. It's almost daybreak. I'm almost human. The next one is also a sad one, but it's a villanelle. And I'm saving for next time all my Irish poems in honor of Mary Gunn, who I almost always read either right before or right after. But I visited family in Ireland and I saved up all my poems for the future. This one, though, is called Roadside Distraction. And it appears online in a journal called In Parentheses. So I just wrote it in September and it already got published because Glenn inspired it. Roadside Distraction. Whether your shrine is for a him or her, a sight can only do what a sight does. The loved one is no longer what they were, nor can they ever be. So we confer a cross, bouquets, some photos, mementos to liven up the last of him or her, with still life where the human cannot stir. And now the breathless bussing of a breeze reminds us they're no longer what they were, nor where. Yet while they're nowhere, they are here. This is one of the universal laws of love and loss, of any him or her I've known too well. My loved one's shrine kept for too long, perhaps. I don't let go because the shrine's the last place who and what they were was. One more law of loss of which I'm sure, that love lives on, just not the way it was. But through these living shrines to him, to her, they make us still no longer who we were. Thanks for listening. I hope you got some comedy coming up.
Yeah, well, um, it's a roller coaster every month. That was so well done, um, very touching and well read too. The cadence slowed us down so we could really feel it, and I appreciate that so much. And for those that don't know, we did I invited some of the poets from the readings to mail some poems in that we would leave at a roadside memorial in my hometown, and um, poems of healing and hope and uplifting, and because the idea is that poetry can heal. Poetry has the power to move people, and so people did. To actually, I wasn't surprised. It's such a good group. People did. They sent their poems in, and we took them out there and dropped them off, and now they're out there in the world with somebody that I hope really appreciates them. So that happened, and I'm glad that it inspired your poem, James. Thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was hard to come up with a thing to write about too. It was very wonderfully torturous to figure the attack on the poem because it's so
Yeah,
good.
it
But
is.
you feel for people, and then how it turns into light of inspiration instead of the morn of mourning, etc.
Yeah, of
That's what we
course.
got to
Yeah,
do. We got to
I
try.
think I think we all felt it. I could see it on everybody's face.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for that.
Thanks for
Okay,
being wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
You have
Alexandra.
mute mic.
Thank you. I'm going to read one that has Santa Claus in it, although not in English. It's called An Ending. Time had run out on the Swiss clocks. I could not find work. I couldn't find a school for my child. Our pets, but one, were all rehomed. So there is nothing more to do, and there is nothing more to see. The orphanage has sent her team to question and record, inspect the echoes of her empty flat. My neighbor has taken my child for noodles next door on our street. No more Samichlaus or Snoony, no more Svieries, Spinatweer. Goodbye, Blue Mountains, say ade, mach's gut, icy total, snow. Tomorrow we head for Calais. And the second one is a soup pot, borscht. Beets from the oven, skimmed for the pot, join celeriac with sweet potatoes, standing in for carrots and potatoes, then add swede and caraway seed. This is a kitchen's UNESCO summit. Let turmeric and cinnamon join. These spices traveled with Marco Polo, new flavors to add, to warm textures served with sour cream chill, daintiness of dill. Thank you.
Thank you. Gosh, you're such a good reader. I don't know if I really got my reading voice right away. It took me a couple of years to sort of get that. That comes with practice. Clarice, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. Okay, I'm Clarice Samuels. I'm from Hudson, Quebec. Hudson is a small town about 40 miles west of Montreal. And I'm reading two poems today, both published. I'm mining my old published poetry here. One is published the first one I'm reading is published in 2008 in Helios magazine, and it's called The Questing Beast. I am like King Pellinor. I am hunting this bizarre hybrid of serpent, leopard, lion, and deer. It is a wild beast that eludes me throughout the ages, wanting to be sought out, but forever thwarting me. I am obsessed with the questing beast. I seek that which eludes me. It is the hunt that is so enthralling. It is the object of all my desires. The beast does not mean to hurt me, yet sometimes does so out of ignorance, surprised that it can cause me such pain. It expects me to chase it for eternity. Once when I stopped and almost gave up, it came and looked for me, nuzzled me with its worm-like head, woke me up out of a deep, dreamless sleep, and stared at me with large and pitiful eyes. I grabbed my shield and my sword and mounted my horse to resume my perilous journey, and the beast raced off with ecstasy, so pleased that the hunt was still on. Even Arthur could not comprehend why Pellinore sought out this beast. But I am mortal, and the beast is eternal, and others will take up the chase. End of poem.
We're gonna pause. We're gonna pause just for a second, Clarice.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna let John Mcmullen come in and sit down. Okay.
Would you like me to resume?
Yeah, just let him get connected.
Okay.
It'll just take a second.
Okay.
Hey, John. Okay. Thank you, Clarice.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry I'm late, and I brought Therese Crane Burst as a guest, and I'm later than she is. So.
Well, we're glad you made it. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, so the second poem, it was published in a magazine called Poetica, Reflections of Jewish Thought. It was published in 2011, and it was entitled, Maybe It Was the Garden of Eden. Okay, so maybe it was the Garden of Eden where I could have found you in such ecstasy, eating forbidden fruit and talking to unsavory serpents. Beware of snakes in paradise. They only want to get you evicted. Knights did not joust in paradise, and landlords did not tax you. There were no philosophers to wonder if we exist. It was even too soon for the Jews. Adam knew nothing of Abraham when he obsessed with the tree of knowledge. Was there a lake of passion, a valley of sensuality? Surely I saw a ladder to heaven. Paradise was too easy. Adam and Eve scaled its walls to get dirt under their fingernails. They distinguished themselves with disobedience, became separate and unique, finally understood the id and beheld the wonders of the ego. We were undeniably adrift. Thus, it was the most bizarre route, the most absurd road taken that led us away from eternal bliss with a guide for the eternally perplexed. This is what we were fated to see, an overwhelming uncertainty, and not the fabulous temples of yore. End of poem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Boy, there were a lot of borrowed phrases and used in interesting ways. And I just love that because we import so much as we're reading. We're like, oh, there's one. Oh, there's one. It feels like this little, we're starting to hunt for those. And it's just beautiful. It's not easy to do that well. And you did. And I love what you said about your mining your published poems. We all should be doing that. You know, go back and find something that you think people will really enjoy and give them a new audience in a reading like this. That's
Right.
fantastic.
They even sound different to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely glean new things sometimes out of my old work.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I'm a new reader because I'm disconnected from it for a while.
Right.
Of course, that's wonderful. All right, all the way from beautiful island of Hawaii, Patrice Wilson.
Hi, Glenn. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Patrice.
Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I'm going to read two short ones that are Christmas themed. The first one is Reminders. It was published in my second chapbook, On Neither Side, which is from Finishing Line Press. But I don't think it's available anymore because it's kind of old. It's like 10 years old now. Reminders. The Salvation Army rings bells beside red kettles. A homeless man with dirty dreads trudges the sidewalk. We are closer to them than we imagine. The miles of distance created by lines, invisible, but thick and red like blood, or the red of each fat Santa at every mall. I like to hope the best for them. Christmas lights in the window of a clean home. But I look around my too small apartment, where every year there sits on makeshift box furniture, covered with hand-hemmed cloth, a tiny artificial evergreen that I decorate with a long white string of false pearls. Let's see. And then the other one is a later poem that I wrote, I think it was this year. I was playing around with haiku form in Tonka, and so I wrote this poem, Winter in Mililani. It's 3 haiku and then a final Tonka. That's the form of it. Winter in Mililani, 2020. Cardboard fireplace made for fake logs, false flames, Hawaii winter. That 60-degree cold, able to chill to the bone after decades here. Someday I'll fly east, but for now this island place, drenched with rainy aloha. Living room alive with cool store-bought fire crackling, orange light flickering softly, white Christmas playing in the lukewarm air. Thank you. Oh,
Very
and
nice.
my book is this one. Probably can't see it. It's called Hues of Darkness, Hues of Light. It's from Alexio Press, and it's from 2013. It's on Amazon. And recently, I've had, what I do usually is dig into my older poems that I wrote and didn't do anything with, and then kind of rework them. 3 of those have been accepted lately. One in Poetica for the spring, one in the Closed Eye Open, which is online, and one in True Veil, which is online as well. So anyway, if you want to check those out. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Oh, thank you for coming today. I really like that little turn in your poem where you say someday we're going to go east. And, it's a great way of saying that, someday things are going to change. We're going to make a move, whatever. It's just wonderful. Your poems read so well on the page, and it's a pleasure to hear you read them. James Bethel.
Thank you, Glenn. I have 2 poems for the season. One short and another one a little longer. They kind of echo Clarice's, actually, in a strange way. The first one is simply called December. Who is this? Lying in a straw and light-filled barn. A child we yet cannot see, hope we would yet comprehend. Well, this is the season of gift giving, and it's also the season of wonder. And it occurred to me that for me, they seem to go hand in hand, at least for this particular poem, which is called Wonder. I hold my cup with both my 2 hands, blessed with the sensations of touch, taste, warmth, and the gifts returned from blessings offered to all beings and to all things, forever past, infinitely present, eternally future. Here there is no fear. Love makes of the cold my friend. Water feeds my soul, ignorant of its innocence, saying yes to everything and wondering about my sense of wonder at my own blessings. Thanks. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Thank you for that. Very nice. We're going to allow a person to come in and sit down. While she takes her seat, sometimes I like to keep the silent moments away by reading, so I'm going to grab one out of my book. If you know what a senru is, it's a form of haiku, and it's about foibles and things like that. I think I have a couple of them in here. See if I can find one. His son lies in the kitchen, he wilts. His son lies in the kitchen, he wilts. Martha, thanks for coming. We're glad to have you. Martha Christina. If you want to say hi, you have to unmute yourself. Okay, we'll let you get settled in. We're moving on to Shay Love. That's a great writerly name. I like that.
Thanks. It's actually my middle name. And I love my middle name so much that I decided I would just announce it to the world and use it.
That's great.
I wished it was my first name half my life. So I'm terrified, just so you guys know. So I'm going to push myself to read out loud. I'm going to read 2 poems. Sorry. All right, I'm going to read 2 poems that I've been playing with a form called Elfkin. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but I heard about it and it sounded super fun. It's basically 11 word poems. So I wrote a couple of fun ones with that, and I'm going to read 2 of them. All right. Listen to music created by nature, the symphony that whispers beauty. So you said to read it twice if it's a small one?
Yes,
all right,
please.
I'll read it. Listen to music created by nature, the symphony that whispers beauty. And then this is kind of a humorous one that it just popped into my head, so I wrote it down. It might be good, it might not be good, but I wrote it, so. Oops, I forgot that milk turns into cheese if left out. Oops, I forgot that milk turns into cheese if left out. So those are my 2 poems. Thank you for being supportive through my anxiety. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for helping me. Have great days. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you for coming. Strong poems, and I love the fact that this was your first read, and that you went slowly. And that's the thing that's really hard to do, isn't it? Everybody here remembers their first time, and most of us, or at least I'm only speaking for me, but afterwards you second guess yourself. You're like, oh, what did I did? And usually you think, boy, I just sped through that because I was nervous, but you didn't. You just look like a pro. You did great. So I hope you come back again and again, and we're very happy to have you. Okay, Doug Van Hooser.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to read 2 poems. The first poem is entitled Hip Boots. No need to repeat mistakes. Their ghosts sit behind me, lay next to me in bed, hand me tissues. The past, unable to pass, gnaws at my wires, causes sparks, flickering images, short-term outages. A person, an event, something I said or should have said, become loud colors. Shout, remember me? Whispers, I can't elude or elucidate, echo in my mind's cavern. Water rushes over the path of slick stones I trek. Unable to decide which side of the river to fish from, I stand in the river and shiver as the water rises over my knees, above my waist, surrounds my chest where the heart's metronome thumps. Today's lyrics give way to the chorus I can't escape. The second poem is for Glenn because it's a nature poem, which I know he likes. It's entitled Litterfall. If you're not familiar with that term, it refers to all the fallen leaves and the decaying plants. The trees siphon the green and abandon their leaves that toss and turn, kneaded by the wind. Some uplifted fly like a loosened kite, foxtrot across the bones of brothers. Squirrels prance over them, cavort and seem games of tag. The cast of thousands piled on one another await the crush of cold and snow to bury their colors. Make an unmarked grave where a marching band of actinobacteria, acetobacteria, bacteroidetes, proteobacteria, microbia, gnaw and masticate the fallen leaves. The colors recycle into air, the skin and bones into soil, feed another generation that will cuddle with the sun, chat with the wind, shelter chirping nests.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thanks for thinking of me also. All right. Got to be careful when you use the word masticate. Sorry, everybody. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Okay. Let's go to Bob Moreland, where we can always get a smile.
You would do that after the mastication, right? Okay. All right. I'm Bob Moreland. I'm from Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, and I'll start with a nature poem. I'm a formalist. You won't be able to tell that from the poem, but this is 5 cinquains, if you look those up. This is called Carol of the Bells. Mournful tune ringing true, Christmas past memories, hope of those on the horizon, blessing. Snowfall, one flake so small, power of many, one. Sugar plums dance in the street lights, taste cold. We walk, snow-covered road, gravel frozen, icy. Prairie sleeps till next spring awakes, hope dreams. Great lake roars, east wind waterfall reminds of God's grandeur. Storm blowing in offshore, bitter snow bites. Boots off in warm mudroom, hot chocolate kiss shared. Winter passions inflamed blaze up anew.
Solid ending.
And this is a cascade form. If you listen, lines get reused throughout the stanzas. And this is entitled Messiah, and that's Handel's Messiah. By word of explanation, my father was a Protestant minister. That'll be necessary when you hear this. Hallelujah shakes the small car. In tears, join the baritone line. Stare at crazy man singing in car. Praises to God on high so fine. See my dad, small church choir take lead, and the trumpet shall sound afar. Wood rafters lighted cross the need. Hallelujah shakes the small car. The dead shall be raised, he intones. Life offered, soul promised, resign. Missing his bravest heart, which shone. In tears, join the baritone line. I know that my Redeemer lives. Soprano's hope, grief cannot mar. See the crazy man, singing star. Dad, I will meet you at the gate. Trusted Savior gave him heart mine. Live life in Christ's love, 'tis fate. Praises to God on high. So fine.
Thank you for that.
End of point. I like
like-
that.
I did. I
end
liked
of
it
point.
too. I also liked it. I like poems of faith. There's some really, really spectacular Buddhist poets, and you know what I haven't recently heard much of is a Hanukkah poem. I haven't had any of those. All right, but let's move on. Oh yeah, and the quatrain. You know, you have poems that are written in stanzas of two. Those are couplets, and three are tercets, right? If it's written in five, that's what that is. Edward Ahern.
Okay. These have the distinction of being recent, so they're not published. They're also, as I mentioned, fairly scurrilous. The first is called Cast of Visions. I rarely dream of dead people, friends, lovers, strangers, of course, those I've hated and still do, but my subconscious declines to play with the imaginary deceased, which is peculiar, for at my advanced age, I know far more dead folk than living. Call it phobia or blockage, mentally healthy or abnormal, my imaginary friends have to exist. And the second one, which is definitely not religiously uplifting, is called It's Magic. Magic is the down market version of the supernatural. Christ, Buddha, Muhammad, and Krishna share top billing, while on the lounge stage, witches and necromancers play to mostly unbelieving drunks and hookup artists. The difference in the gross seems to be the difference between having to believe, or at least defer to, religion, and wanting to, but not admitting to, believing in Aragorn, Dracula, and the Witch of Endor. A difference similar to the girl with two men, one a macho guy slut with looks and moves, the other more boring but longer lasting. Relations with the latter often segue to the former. Magic, although maligned by the faithful, is much more entertaining than strictures and provides godlike illusions to those wearied of constantly repenting, constant sinning.
Constant. All right. Well, thank you. I didn't think they were nearly as scurrilous as the buildup, but they were very well done. Thank you, Edward. All right, Therese. There you are. You have to. There.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I have two poems. Thanks for letting me recite them. This one is based on many of us who worked with AIDS in the late 80s and 90s, or I worked for 14 years. I had a little bit of PTSD going when COVID first started, and so this is related to that. And it's called We Can't Outwit the Cut of AIDS. Just behind my eyes, or in the corner passing by, grief lurks. It didn't have to stay, why not somehow another day? The chill of dread descends, though I say they are not dead now, over decades. I bow my head in a gesture to recall that through the wall of time, they are, after all, alive. I strive to remember their faces, while they lived through this time in their very own spaces. Somehow I can't explain the memories that erupt and run a river through my mind now. They run a river through my head, a sorrow lurking in the marrow of my bones. What can expel this dread? It hides within this home in which I dwell. Lifting my eyes, then I see the heavens break in empathy. No, nothing is lost, and then surrounding me they stand. They witness to that love that shepherds once mistook for dread, yet instead it was simply awe that had overtook them. Exposed in every way, our venerable saints awash each day, like standing on a railroad track, the surge so strong and no way back. Now, through the potter's clay, they found a way to see and thrive and co-create their destiny. Their touch was fruit, their sounds alive in me. Who knew as life took hold we could become our very own person, making us one? You see, with an unyielding surrender of the ecstatic fantasy, the individual pretender gave way. Teilhard would say, it is the ecstatic person that connects us in communion with humankind. Believing, yet I feel a chill as COVID prods my memories still. This pain erupts in every face recalled with all the news. My muse urges me on to represent at what expense they surrender to the person. And penetrating that eternal door, they showed me how to become more, to become one. It is not done. So that's one. And this is based on a prompt for a fairy tale with Sue Birch, who's an English poet. And but it's really based on the dark night of the soul. So it's called I Could Not Search in Hell's Dark Night. I travel out of sight through the dark and dank night at the gate outside the forest. They stand with signs and horns warning us off as terror strikes descending down my spine. I was blind to the shadows running across their minds. Withdrawing in fear to the hut I'm assigned with the light that surrounds me. I am blind. No maps. New gods appear who do not rear their offspring to relate, as fear drives them from this awful place. Now, just for a while, I start to smile, hearing the familiar song of the bird. I smell the fragrance of a rose, then hear the rushing waters flow. Ahead of the path on which I tread beneath the canopy of ancient trees, I freeze, as I see just ahead of me the terrors of the night and my feeling of dread. Descending now into the caves at the city gate, not yet made for us, I wait. Is awe what I feel? I surrender to faith. Only love can illumine and recover our sight as we fretfully sojourn within the black night. Will tenderness bind us in the end as we make our way to ascend and feel our hearts and minds begin to blend as we make amends for all that we have done to offend? Believing is all that I have, and I've heard forever you will be at my side to guide my steps upon life's trail, supporting me in my travail. Now, safe from all that lurks below, the way ahead I cannot know. The emptiness preserves a space for you to visit with your grace. How will you come? In time or place, or shall I see you in the face of one whose love will set me free and journey on through time with me? Out of the dark and into the light, with greater assurance in my flight, I can rely on love at last. The terrors of the night are past. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm always reminded the, how just fantastic some of you are when it, because rhyme is so hard to do well. I think I've said it before, but a lot of people, they begin their poetry careers and they use rhyme more as a crutch because it means that things are working. But to do that and to have those slant rhymes in between and to hit those soft and then to have those tension releases so it's not too much of it, you just and by I don't mean tension like tension and release, but just
Yeah, I understand.
just enough of it so that it's just not so sing-songy or anything. I mean, it was enjoyable. Thank you so much for that. And it's a lesson in there for some of our watchers, I think. Okay, let's go on to, is Lee Hudspeth still here?
I'm here, Glenn.
Ah, there you are, Lee. Sorry, you were in the corner.
That's okay. And thanks for hosting this event and to everyone for some wonderful poetry today and more to come, I'm sure. I'm in Southern California and I'm going to read one poem. It was published in the most recent online issue, number 24 of Anti-Heroin Chic. And the poem is titled Between Steps in Bozeman. The hotel parking lot is a stark black plain. Efficient industrial buildings look down on it, stone-faced. The big sky looks down also, and on my morning debut, I am referring to the big sky, so treasured and adored. It manifests its true big self today, high above the fray, bigger than me, bigger than any of us, tolerant on this blessed, not 74-degree day, other days cold and biting like the cuts we inflict on each other, while insisting valiantly that we are right. Instead, we are gusting. We are whipping up a fury of fight or flight. Hotel lobby, take a step. Concrete swale, another step. Tarmac, step. In the space between steps, tranquility escapes. To where? Into the sky above us? Into the pause between the footfalls? That calm is gone now, shattered. No evidence remains, leaving instead recriminations, confusion, umbrage, and self-defense. Like a wild herd, these emotions effortlessly jump the rickety fence of civility. They land and don't look back. I do look back, then up at the unblinking big sky. Another faltering step. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice resonance, all those steps, and then you just end on that word step. It kind of makes you feel like you're in it. Very, very
Thank
nice.
you. Thank you.
KB Ballantyne.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
For 2 more weeks, I can say I had a book published this year. So I had a book published this year, Edge of the Echo. But I'll be reading, I'm living in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I will be reading 2 poems. This first one was published in the Heartland Review in 2018 and called The Weight of Snow. I know the days grow only shorter, blood thickening with cold. Birch bark flakes, trunks braced for wind and ice. The creek whispers its way through the woods, coaxing tongues of clay. A cardinal skims branches under the meager sun, fingers of white gold barley stroking the leaf-littered ground. Time thrives slowly, my soul's silence deepening with fog, with frost, and finally with snow.
Oh, you guys, all that assonance is so nice in there. I'm going to have you pause for just a second. We had, Clarissa has to step out for a minute to take care of her dog, so I really want to wait so she can hear your work. I'll just read a quick one to pass the blank time here, and then when she comes back. You guys know who Khalil Gibran is? Yeah, everybody, mostly. Every once in a while, I used to try to emulate someone who I would read or try to pick up like there's something about them. I wrote this poem years ago after reading a bunch of his work, and I'll just read it real quick, and then hopefully she'll make it back before I'm done. It's called If You Truly Want to Love. And by the way, if you don't know his work, maybe my favorite poem ever is called Of Love, and it's written by him, Khalil Gibran. If you truly want to love, then you must first go through the motions of love. You must see the weather in the distance and spend summer's nights in the barn, gathering hay while others slumber. You must pick wisely for inner beauty and return again and again until it feels like home. You must stagger out in the rain huddled in your coat, bracing yourself against the wind, and eventually learn to dress for the weather. And when you have done all this, you return home to a comfortable chair and appreciate the coming home and rest in the gentle peace it brings. And if you read Khalil's work, maybe some echoes in there for you. Oh, she's not back yet. All right, well, maybe she'll catch it. All right, go ahead, KB. I'm sorry, I thought she would sneak right back in a moment. Let's go ahead and continue.
No problem. That was definitely worth taking a break for sure. This poem will be published in the Linnet's Wings Christmas Canzonetta later this year. Nesting Hymn for Winter. My animal spirit celebrates the creatures who hibernate these long and frosty nights, to rest snug in a burrow, a den, to let the ice blow in, all unaware. No pricking holly or bitter wind to sting my skin. No rifling through snow for a snippet or bite. No, my saving grace would be to hide away, allow the cold moon's crescent to cradle my dreams of strawberry moons, a stray leaf blowing through shadowy gloom, sounding hopeful to slumbering ears, like warm summer rain. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was nice. Okay. Francis Flavin.
Hello, everyone. Francis here from the base of the Sierra Nevada in Reno, and good to see everybody again. And Shay, I'm still intimidated. I've done this several times now, and the degree of talent here is immense, and so it can be a little intimidating. But the longer you do it, the better it gets. So hang in there. The first poem I have takes a bit of explanation. I wrote this poem after some field work on a reservation with my Shoshone and Paiute colleagues and friends, and it sort of has a cadence that's probably cultural appropriation in some respects. But the reason I bring it up is I send out poems every Sunday to a list of over 100 people that I used to work with or friends, whatever. And this poem, it never struck me as having much import. But then I got a response from someone, and she said she was going through a struggle with breast cancer, and this poem really resonated with her and was helping her, and she asked permission to print it out and put it next to her desk. And so I was thinking, sometimes we're looking for publication or this, that, or the other thing, but if you can get one person that resonates with, it's worth all the poetry you ever did. So this is the poem. It's called The Way On. O Mother Ocean, O Sister Sea, free me of troubles that anchor me, shackled to sorrow, fast to the mast, tied to the present, bound to the past. Be it becalmed, cleanse me in spirit, help me move on. O brother river, take me along, down through the valley, fill me with song, set my heart racing, coursing with life, tighten my sinews, braced for the strife. O Father Mountain, help me be strong, be my companion all my life long. And the second poem is sort of seasonal. It's nostalgia. It's called Snow Portal. There was a big, fluffy, benevolent snowfall. Descending flakes were large and slow enough to catch on your tongue. Like cold, downy feathers, they tickled my nose and induced an urge to giggle. Muffled by the falling snow, the holiday clamor receded, and the world was benign and intimate. Fragrance of pine from a nearby wreath, and my mind merged with an earlier scene in snow a long time ago. Moisture from the big melting flakes ran in rivulets down my brother's chubby red cheeks. Two plump little dwarfs overwrapped in wool. We wallowed through waist-high drifts with our prize, a freshly cut white pine of enormous proportions. Triumphant and exhausted, we stumbled through the darkness to the beckoning lights of our little farmhouse. The chatter of an approaching couple brought me back to the present. They detoured by, shooting anxious glances at the large bald man standing transfixed in snow in remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody heard my phone ring in the first one. I deeply apologetic if that came through at all and interrupted the spell of the poem. Okay, let's move on to Gerald.
Thank you, Glenn. It's nice to be back. I have a couple of short poems for you today that I pulled out. First one is Sail. It was published a few years ago in Lyrical, Iowa. Sail. The all-day auction nearly over. An old man in overalls turned to his daughter. Let's go. He couldn't face neighbors, leaving with items no longer his. Sold by the bank to a corporation, new crops would be lawns and apartments on the farm of his father's grandfather. From bib pocket, tobacco tin extracted, contents empty. Carefully repacked a handful of warm black soil to mix with my ashes in response to a daughter's questioning look.
Thank you so much. Did you guys catch that line, on the farm of my father's grandfather? I think that was the thing. Wow, you said so much and so little. That was great. Very nice.
The second one I've selected is titled Simplifying. The room seemed much larger now, with furniture all sold. In your small kitchen world, it happened around you unnoticed. My rocking chair remains by the living room bay, typewriter at hand, some CDs for music these quiet evenings. Small scattered stacks of cherished books bravely stand like little castles in hollow rooms. Laughter, light, love, happy memories in the old house, now nearly vacant, except me talking to you, an indifferent spider. So, sorry about the phone.
It's okay. We're all friends here.
So, thank you all. It's good to see everybody and happy holidays.
Thank you. Oh, was that the end of your second poem?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It ended on spider.
It ended on spider. Okay, great. Thank you very much for that. All right. We've got 4 more here. If you don't hear your name, send me a quick note. And on that, I know that a lot of the poets here with Prolific Press and the like, they just watch these on Facebook. But what you can't see is that all of us here in this group, we have this little chat that runs, and people say nice things, and they make a little note here or there. And so you're missing out. So come be part of it. If you've been published with us, we really want you to be part of this community that we're building. Okay. All right. So we're going to do Abby, and then Gary Silva, John Mcmullen, and Martha Christina. That's the next 4. If your name's not mentioned, it means you're not on my list. So send me a note. I think I do have everybody today, though. So go ahead, Abby Kaplan.
Okay. Thanks for having me. And sorry about that. I wasn't sure if I was on there. Anyhow, I'm from San Francisco, and I just wanted to take advantage of sharing that I have a poem in something called bite-sized poems, and it's an anthology by Ellen Summerfield. I'm not going to read it because it's a teensy bit political, so I want to honor that. I'm going to share with you 2 poems. The first is called To the Moon, and it's written for a friend of mine, Bernadette, who lives on the Taos Pueblo, and this is what she makes. She's a potter, and she belongs to the Red Willow people, who live at the Taos Pueblo. Started off as a prompt of a painting by O'Keeffe called To the Moon. So this is To the Moon for Bernadette Track, where O'Keeffe painted a burnished clay barrette. The sky blooms in celestial turquoise, a ghost ladder plucked from Taos, plunged into charged landscape, half pearl, half lidded moon of mica beckons, invisible ancestors dancing upward over lacquered hills to another world, while still breathers kneel near Rio Pueblo, build pit fires, fashion horsehair onto hot clay, some recalling the time they fed Easy Rider's film crew, flirted with Fonda as motorcycles smoked through Taos. In summer heat, an elder ferries memories of R.C. Gorman from her closet, the gallery of velvets, crimson and purple, the wardrobe she modeled for his paintings. A master potter, she balances a heart of earth in her palm until it pulses with red willow song, sponges the newborn pot in a slip of grandmother's, adobe home of 1,000 years, storied ladders of spruce. That's that one. Thank you. And the second one was published in Agni, and it's an abecedarian. It's called A Few Men, A Few Ropes, Power Saws. Sorry. Askew, the look is playful. Young men scuttling over pine branches with sage beards of lichen, cone-studded behemoth that could crack in a storm, dead pieces of worry for Pacific Gas and Electric. Did neighbors too get notice of the power cut? Few will miss the cruel shower of needles onto their gardens. In the remaining canopy, a red-tailed hawk alert to fleeing voles. I will miss you, I think, watching jute ropes thrown and tied off, but relieved it won't kill children as it falls. Lime vests and white protective hats peg men who scamper up limbs they've just cut like temporary steps. Now another pine-coned broom swings on descent to my brick patio, of which I've granted them use. It's dragged street-side, slaughtered to pulp and wood chips. The slow takedown, quivering old troll with acid breath, roaring out wretchedness. Behold the belted saw dangling from the foreman's waist. Toreadors laughing in the face of double dare, untying and retying as they go about cutting V's into limbs, pressing under for the kill. Wild man parrots waving to me as I stand by the window, mute. Xylem slashed in a grinning buzz of metal. PG&E won't pay for your full tree removal. No, the city leaves a sad flock of tree zombies, their blind torsos, their many severed fingers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
PG&E is Pacific Gas and Electric. It is the Pacific side of the U.S.'s big utility company. All right.
We used to call that paying God and everybody.
Yeah. All right. I think somebody said that Gary Silva had to leave, so we are going to move on to John Mcmullen. John, you have to unmute yourself.
I did. It just took a while. To mention books, I've had 2 published this year, both on Amazon, My Life in 26 Poems and one from Scars Publications, collected poems 2008 and 2010. And I hope to have a chapbook out by Christmas. This is a longer poem than I normally read. And some of you, 2 of you probably have heard it already. The Traumatized Generation. They call those Americans who were adults during World War II the greatest generation, those military, civilian alike, who got us through the greatest conflict in human history and then rebuilt the country. I'm of the generation that came after it, that grew into adulthood after World War II, the traumatized generation, one in which all the norms that were instilled in them as children were replaced in short order by changes in everything: morality, business, safety, sexuality, and education, and the greatest technological changes since electricity. We have seen old friends, Russia and China, become enemies, and old enemies, Germany and Japan, become friends. We have seen television become commonplace, the pill, school desegregation, the internet, Roe versus Wade, AIDS, globalization, wireless communication, the iPhone, 9/11, social media, the COVID pandemic, and each of these caused trauma and disruption in our lives. We named them the Civil Rights Generation, the Sexual Revolution, the Gay Revolution, Women's Liberation Movement, and each of these improved our country, but made us adopt traditional beliefs. And technology tore everything apart. Jobs disappeared as companies could manufacture overseas. Customers could order online, bank online. Traditional companies disappeared: Sears, A&P, Kodak, and too many more to name, as iTunes and MP3 ate record stores, digital photography ate film processing, Amazon ate everything. And old skills became useless, and the new skills difficult to obtain. And we're in the most diverse of wars. It's a civil war. We're attacked on our mainland for the first time in 1812. We're engaged in the longest war in American history. We're locked in our homes by a global pandemic, and Zoom replaced human contact. And we saw our country devolve into the greatest polarization since the Civil War. Ministers said that gays caused 9/11, and conspiracy theories became commonplace. Democrats were selling babies in a pizzeria. COVID was the big pharma scam. Bill Gates was putting tracking chips into vaccines. The Democrats stole the election from Donald Trump. The July 6th riot was a peaceful protest and spread through social media like wildfire. But the next generation generally had smartphones almost from birth, sees technology as part of their lives, recognizes sexual, gender, and racial equality as normal, welcomes the adventures of change, is not threatened by the revolution of our generation, and is our hope for the future as we leave the traumatized generation. Thank you for putting up with me.
All right. Well, let's see. I know, Martha, you're not going to read today, and that's great. I'm so glad that you came. I always tell people, even if you don't feel like reading, it's nice to have you, and I mean it. It's just so nice. I just want to say a couple of words before everybody takes off. Obviously, it's the holiday season. No matter what your faith is, you people on Facebook and the other people who are watching this, so I hope that you at least absorb some of the goodwill that's this season brings all around the world, and that you find some special meaning in it. And I just, for me, as a person, as a traditional Christian in the United States, I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. That is what where I am, and happy holidays to everyone else. We love and respect all of you, and we hope to see more and more poets in our community over the coming years. So thank you all for coming today. It was a great reading.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry
Thank you, Glenn.
Christmas.
Merry
Glenn, when's the
Christmas.
next one?
Thanks as
Thank you.
always.
Merry Christmas.
When is the next
holidays.
one? Happy holidays.
Yeah, I'm hanging on to it.
January 29th. So,
All right, we'll put it on the calendar.
all right, 1 p.m.
Stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe.
Be well.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Stay
Bye-bye.
well. Bye, Alexandra.
Okay.
See you,
Bye,
Lee.
Glenn.
Bye-bye.
Happy
Bye, Mary.
holidays. Happy
Take care,
Happy
holidays.
Yeah,
Glenn.
Glenn.
Happy holidays,
Bye,
James.
everybody.
Take
Bye.
care.
I find it helpful if you send out an email with a link to the reading, because sometimes when I search for it, if I Google it, it can be quite hard to find. I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, I do.
So
I do
on
send a link. Are you not getting those?
Sometimes you do, sometimes I don't. Maybe I just don't get them. But on the occasions you send them out, yes, I find them very helpful. So
Okay.
thank you.
All right. I try to
Okay,
send
and a
one
happy
out
Christmas
quickly.
to you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, Therese. Thanks for coming today. And James, John, as always, Patrice. Probably warm out there. I'm a little jealous.
It's fairly warm, yeah. Cooler than normal for us, but gets to about 60 degrees at night.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
That's
take care,
freezing.
everybody. All right. I'm going to end this.
Just a
Bye-bye.
quick thank you to Therese. Appreciated your work.
Oh, that's nice. Thank
Thank
you for
you
saying
very
that.
much. Thanks. I
Thank you.
thank you very much for welcoming me.
Oh, you're always welcome. We hope to see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.